Hey everybody, welcome to the MMA Heat podcast. I'm Karyn Bryant.
What's up, guys? Thanks for tuning in. Jouban here.
Looking cool. You got the Tony
hat.
Ferguson shades going on in your Black House hat.
Oh yeah, the shades. Yeah. I got my Gucci's on today, Karyn. I thought I would try to live up to the hype. You know, supposed to be a world-class supermodel and all, so I thought I'd look cool for the show.
That's cool. That's cool. Well, I want to talk to you about some stuff that happened this past weekend at UFC Fresno and a couple of things about this coming weekend up at UFC Winnipeg. I'm pretty sure, and I know I did it on my Trocasau podcast, but I did pick T-City as much as it hurt me and broke my heart.
Yeah.
Because I was saying just with things like Michael Bisping losing to Kelvin, Jose Aldo losing again to Max, I was like, there's something in the air. I think it's a changing of the guard. And as much as I love Cub Swanson, which if anybody ever knows, like, love that dude. But I called it. I was like, I feel like T-City is coming up. And he pulled it off. That was quite a fight.
Yeah, it was an awesome fight. I myself picked Bryant as well. I love both those guys too. Yeah. Cub, I mean, pretty much, if you're a fan of MMA, you enjoy watching Cub fight. He brings exciting style. He's good everywhere. He's a good guy. Bryant is just more my friend. You know, we work with him together. Yeah. He's a friend of mine. We've trained together a little bit. And so I had to kind of go with him for those reasons. And also, speaking to Ed Suarez at Black House the other day, he was telling me that this is the best shape that he had ever seen Bryant in his entire career. And so knowing that he was in tremendous shape, I'd been watching him on Instagram training hard. I felt like he was going to have that edge. I didn't think it was going to happen necessarily in the fashion that it did. Right. I thought he would win by submission, but I thought it was going to be an all-out war, him getting taken down and maybe a submission from the guard game, not him really hunting the takedown, hunting the submission so early in the fight.
Yeah, it's funny because I can't remember if it's when we were working with Brian at UFC Now or whatever, but one of the times we were talking about him, how he's been a bit of a slow starter and that he was like, yeah, I know, I got to change that because it's cool that he's got the most, third round submission wins, the most, third round finishes or whatever in the division. But he's like, yeah, that's also dangerous because that means maybe I got my ass kicked, for a couple of rounds. So I know that was something that he wanted to do and start faster, but I'm totally there with you. I did not expect a second round submission win. I thought for sure, they would go back and forth for a while because we know Cub can go for days and Brian obviously can hang in there too. So I figured the same thing, that if a submission came, it was going to be fourth round or something like, because the later the fight went, the better I thought it was going to be for Brian. So I did not expect a second round submission. I mean, shoot, he almost got it in the first round, which was crazy. And then I don't know if you saw after the fight, there was a, Cub was quoted, he was like, he said like he panicked and he didn't say like he was in fear for his life really, but like something like the intensity of Brian's choke was so strong. So you said you trained with him. Have you actually been in a T-City triangle?
I haven't, thankfully. I'm lucky enough that he hasn't caught me in a triangle or a guillotine just yet. But when we were chatting it up at the gym today, a lot of the guys were saying that have got caught in Brian's guillotine. They're like, man, He's got such a solid guillotine. We were all today, like, you know how it is. You go to the water cooler, you talk about what happened over the weekend. In the gym today, we were all cranking on each other's neck. We were all working the guillotines. Some people had like a face mask or not, what do you call it? Chin strap guillotine. Yeah. We were working different modifying the guillotines today because of it. But a lot of the guys that were training there had been caught in Brian's guillotine, and they said that he has that traditional Gracie style where the Gracie gym that he trains at, and this isn't talking negatively anyway, but they're more traditional, they're more old school. So maybe they're not up with the new age of all these crazy heel hooks, all these all this rubber guard stuff that's kind of taken over jiu-jitsu. But when they do the high percentage stuff, they do it very, very well. And the Gracie brothers that he trains with are very well known for their guillotines. Brian has a phenomenal guillotine. And if you get caught in, I'm sorry, I got to. Oh wait, did we pause for a second? You still with me?
Yeah, I'm still with you.
Okay. I thought we might have froze. I can't see a damn thing, Karyn. It's too damn dark. Right? I got to take these glasses off. I'm sorry, guys. I tried to fool you guys. I was trying to play it up. I was trying to give you my my Conor McGregor,
Yeah.
my Tony impersonation, but I really just got kneed in the eye in jiu-jitsu
That
yesterday, so I
sucks.
got a bit of the ugly face right now. And it's not even a cool black eye. It's like an eyeshadow or a makeup.
It is. I've worn that look to the club, Alan. I'm not going to lie.
Oh man, one eye? Yeah.
No, not one eye.
Okay. So anyway, okay, I can see much better now.
Good.
Thank you guys. I'll just have to live with my
Does
black
it hurt?
eye. It didn't feel good when I got punched in the face in training this morning. I'll say that much. But it's
Ouch.
part of the territory. But yeah, the guillotine. He's really really good at it. And okay, I'm talking and talking. I'm sorry, Karyn. I'm gonna give you a shot, but let me say something. I talked to my guys at the gym today about this. Let me tell you why Bryant's good at the guillotine.
Yeah.
A, he's a phenomenal jiu-jitsu practitioner. B, he's got a really good squeeze. And C, he's got skinny arms. So I figured this out today. I thought about Tony Ferguson,
Yep.
Bryant, Ortega, guys like that have skinnier arms. When they get those darces in, I think this is part of the reason why they have such a good squeeze. Not so much on the guillotine, but on the darce where you're trying to kind of cup the bicep and get the squeeze in right here. A lot of muscular guys sometimes have this problem where they'll get it, but their hand won't be all the way around their bicep, and their hand's slipping off. So guys that have longer, skinnier arms, they're getting a skinnier arm, they're wrapping it all the way around, then they have that grip locked in right away. So basically, I'm just saying that the reason my darce isn't as good as theirs is because I have big biceps. Basically, I'm pretty much giving myself a shout out. I didn't prove anything here, Karyn.
No, it's funny, but
that's
you know
kind
what?
of that's kind of my secret theory.
No, and that theory makes sense because when you look at a guy like Charles Oliveira, who is like so skinny and angular and everything, and the guy's sick. He's sick with his chokes.
Exactly. The skinny, longer frame allows you to really lock things in right away, where the muscular built frame guys have trouble getting the right grip if they have big arms. They're trying to get in the rear naked choke if their muscles are getting in the way and stuff. So anyway, something that came to my mind today.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And actually, you standing around the water cooler with the guys at the gym, that brings up we do have another rant from Kenny Johnson, Bolt Wrestling, and that's actually kind of what he's talking about, how to be a good training partner. So people should just make sure they stay with us through the whole podcast because we got Kenny's take on that. But so what would you do with Brian? I just have to say, like, and like we said, we work with him. He's such a good-hearted guy who has really made the best of some bad situations in his life, and I think Brian has such a great perspective on humanity, and how to treat people, how to be a good person. I love what he said in the Octagon after about wanting to be helpful, wanting to use this platform for better things. That being said, though, he also said, "Hey, I'm willing to wait for Frankie to get his shot." I think he is due that, and of course, we know Frankie broke his orbital. Couldn't make that fight with Max, so Jose got removed from this coming weekend's card against Ricardo Lamas, and he got put in there. So Frankie, look, the guy deserves it. He's earned it. I would feel pretty bummed out for him if somebody got to skip him and get the next shot at Max. So I think it should be Frankie. But, before this fight, Brian was number 6, Cub was number 4. I'm guessing maybe they'll just straight up swap places or whatever. Ricardo Lamas is number 3 this weekend. He's in action. He's fighting Josh Emmett, who is unranked because he was supposed to have Aldo, But, like, if Ricardo wins, he's already number 3. If he stays there, I don't know if they'd try to make Ricardo and Brian fight before one of them gets a title fight. I don't know. What would you do with those guys? And no disrespect to Josh Emmett. I'm just saying the assumption most people are probably assuming Ricardo will win this weekend.
I might have had a brain for it here, but let me make sure. Isn't Josh Emmett a 135er though? Or no?
No, I don't think, unless he's coming up. I didn't think so. I
feel like because Josh Emmett, he did, unless I'm mistaking him with someone else. Josh Emmett, the bald guy.
Yeah.
No, you might be right. I'm mistaken. No, he's not a 30. I apologize. I'm mistaking him with somebody else completely. I know exactly who Josh Emmett is. He's a tremendous fighter. For some reason, I was flip-flopping him with another fighter. Right. Emmett's a tough guy. Really tough guy. But I was kind of thinking in terms of a next opponent. Where's Jose Aldo at right now in terms of...
Well, that's the whole thing is, we don't really know what he's going to do. You know what I mean? I believe with him having been the interim champion before that fight, and then he lost the interim title to Max, but he was still obviously very, very high. But I don't know, we really sort of don't know what he's going to do, right? So... yeah, maybe you would give Brian Jose Aldo, maybe you would give Lamas Jose Aldo, maybe, if he's still in there. Yeah, I don't know. Because I would like to see Brian get one more fight before a title fight. I feel like Lamas, is more due, having already he's already number 3 right now in the rankings. So I feel like, it's unfortunate for him. And I do have an interview with Ricardo Lamas, guys. I may as well bring that up now. So if you want to see what he has to think about the whole fact that he lost the Aldo fight, didn't get the rematch and blah, 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 you can find the interview here with me. Ricardo's such a cool guy. And he really took it like a champ, like that whole switch. And he was waiting around for a better opponent, a higher ranked opponent. And, all those guys were matched up. So to your point, Alan, that's the whole thing, that at the top of the division, there is kind of this log jam. And he's either already fought a lot of these guys or whatever. And so he's taking Josh Emmett, who, as you know, you're a tough ass fighter. You're not in the top 10. It doesn't mean you're not good. You know what I mean? And so obviously Josh is a real threat. But I feel like the featherweight division, maybe we'll have a little clarity after this weekend. Yeah.
But I agree on what you said, that I think Brian definitely needs one more tough fight, one more bigger name fight before he tries to contend for a title. Brian is I'm glad that he was able to use this platform with the UFC to not only put out his message that he put out after the fight in his post-fight remarks, but also to just let fans know who he is, because Brian's a top guy. Yeah. He's probably, like you said, probably going to flip-flop in the top 5 now. Right. But not a lot of people really know who Brian is as a fighter. He's not a big name, so to speak, but he's a very good fighter. He's a good guy. And after the all the beef footage and background stories they did on him, and then seeing his fighting style and how dangerous of a submission fighter he really is, an evolving stand-up fighter as well, I think it was a great platform for him to go out there, get the win, let the fans know who he is, create more momentum to build that super fight, or not the super fight, but a high-profile fight for him to contend for the title after.
Yeah, I agree with you. And, that was the last fight on Cubs' contract. But, right away, I guess Dana was saying after, we're like, for sure we want to re-sign this guy. Like, who the hell would let Cub Swanson go? Like,
yeah, it would not make sense. I'm confused when I hear this sometimes. Like, he's only got one fight left on his contract when it's a guy like a Cub Swanson or a Cowboy Swanson. Like, who cares? Why would you ever let these guys go,
I think it's just a bummer, because I'm sure he was hoping to win that fight, negotiate a stronger contract for a title fight and all that. So that is a bummer. And maybe that was Cubs' last best chance at getting a title shot. Making a run like that again in such a tough division could be hard. And like I said, like it might be that changing of the guard type situation now. But Cub is forever going to be just beloved and such a legend. So that was tough. I know, and I feel like a lot of people felt that way. Like, hated to see either one of those guys lose.
Both guys are great guys and fun fighters to watch. And you said it, with Cub being at the end of his contract and losing, obviously the UFC would never let a guy like that go, or I would hope not. But it's just, as much as the UFC might love Cub, business is business. And when it comes to the negotiating table, if you don't have that leverage of coming off of a win and having a possible title contention coming up, then you're probably going to stick to that normal pay scale of just small individual increments that you're increasing your money value, rather than those lump sums that we always want to negotiate for coming off of a win. So it sucks for him like that, but people are going to love to watch Cub. He enjoys what he does. He's been fighting for so long that he loves the process. I don't mean this in a negative way, but he can kind of become like a Cowboy Cerrone, where people are going to want to watch him. He can still headline fights, even if he's not quite fighting for the belt. He can still be a guy who makes great money and can main event fights because he's a name out there.
For sure. He'll always put butts in the seats, so he's always going to be valuable. I'm curious what your take is on what happened in the Gabriel Benitez, Jason Knight, Hick Diaz fight. So he was bitten. Gabriel Benitez was bitten. Like in the first round, someone goes on and he pulls it out, and at first they were saying they thought it might have been small joint manipulation, but it turns out he was bitten. Gets a point taken away. Like, that was so freaky to me. I don't know what you thought of that fight. It was just strange to me, and I don't know, if the shine is off Jason Knight a little bit or not. He didn't look as good as he has in the past.
He didn't at all. I didn't think he did. Who was the commentator? Paul Felder.
Yeah.
Paul Felder made an excellent comparison when he compared Jason Knight to Cowboy Cerrone. They have very, very similar body types and movement. Just the way they move, they have a very similar movement. And Jason Knight, since he came into the UFC, he's impressed me. He's fought tough guys and he's went to war with them. And he's always been the guy that kind of like, you don't want to get in a dogfight with Jason Knight. And he's well-rounded. And Benitez was his opponent, correct?
Yeah, Gabriel Benitez. He was on Tough Latin America. And, now he's,
My first time seeing him, and apparently he's had that problem because he kind of made a remark to Dana White, like, now you know who I am. But Benitez impressed me tremendously. He had good footwork, good movement, good boxing, popped a jab with his long arms, and he used that to his advantage. But I don't feel like that was the best Jason Knight that we saw that night, Karyn. He did not look himself. I don't know if he had a bad weight cut. The whole biting thing was just crazy. We haven't really seen a Mike Tyson-esque fighting incident inside of the octagon, so I guess we were due for one. Right. But it seemed like his hand, he wrapped his head up and his finger might have gotten in his mouth. As soon as it was done, I didn't know what happened, but I saw Jason Knight telling Benitez, "I'm sorry, man, it was an accident." So maybe his mouth was just open, his finger found his way in there, and he accidentally chomped down on it. But that's never happened to me in training or in fighting ever. It was kind of a weird thing. I think I'd have to say when I think about putting myself in that situation and what would have happened, somehow he was going for the chin strap Benitez, and he probably accidentally found his finger in Jason's mouth. But I got a feeling Jason said, "Screw it, I'm gonna chomp down on this thing," and make it much.
It doesn't seem like an accidental type thing. Like, I understand accidentally I kicked you in the bits because I was aiming for this and you moved and I moved or whatever, but like an accidental I find a little hard to believe. But I'm not trying to put the dude on blast. And Lord knows, in a fight, I'm sure a lot of stuff happens that you guys do that, is not fully legal, but you can get away with it or whatever. But I just thought that was, not cool.
It was a weird one for sure. And then they took a point immediately, put Jason Knight in a hole, and then Benitez seemed to just carry that momentum through the rest of the fight. Yep. All in all, a strange fight. Benitez, he is now a name on the map in my eyes, the guy to look out for. But Jason Knight, I feel that was not the normal Jason Knight lived up to his standards in the octagon that night. I'd like to see him fight again to see if there's something was wrong that night with the weight cut or something. Yeah,
I feel you on that one. Well, somebody who did live up to the hype this time was Marlon Moraes. He's a guy who was a champion at World Series of Fighting. And I remember I was working, I think it was with Rashad, on the very first fight that Moraes came out, and he was so high up on this guy, and he's like, he's going to be a champion, he's going to, he's going to win, he's going to be this, he's going to be that, and he wasn't as successful in that first fight, but, in this one, and, Aljo is one of the few Jamaican dudes in the octagon, right? So, nothing against Marlon Moraes, but, when a dude walks in there with the Jamaican flag, I'm always like, right on, here we go, let's do this. So I like to see Aljo do well, and he's a really good dude, but that was the knee from hell. He was stiff. It was, this is 2 weeks in a row now. Last weekend with Alistair, this past weekend with Aljamain. Like, I was really concerned there, and I guess he was taken out on a stretcher and everything. Luckily, he's tweeted and he's okay and everything. But again, I can only imagine how hard a knee like that hurts. But that was perfect, right? To be able to lay a dude out like that, it's Aljo's force coming forward. Moraes is, right? So that's really what did it too.
Yeah, it was. And watching the aftermath of the knee, it made me think of me and our conversation about Alistair Overeem, like what happened to him. Because when that knee landed, that's like, honestly, as a striker who came into MMA, that was the biggest hurdle for me, was thinking, I got to change levels and put my face near somebody's knee now. And when it came to wrestling, and that's why strikers never want to go down there, because we think like strikers. We think, if your face is near me, I'm going to knee you in the face. I'm going to kick you in the face. Yeah. And so now when you have to convert to wrestling, you're putting your face in that danger zone quite frequently. That was like the highlight reel perfect scenario of what could happen when you try shooting on a pure striker. It was a head kick converted to a knee. I think Moraes said that he was throwing the kick, and at the last second, he saw the level change from Aljamain and kind of converted it to a knee. But it landed so on the chin, and Aljamain landed so bad. I think this was a much more brutal I don't want to say a brutal shot, but the way that Aljamain landed was more it was more brutal than Overeem. Overeem went stiff. Aljamain, when he went down, one of his legs were stayed up in the air, and it amazed me. Like, to be unconscious, it's one thing to be stiff, but then like your abdominals and your quads and everything are so tight and flexed that one leg is like up doing like an ab workout, and his hands were kind of like they were joking about it, although it's a serious thing. He was kind of in that dab position. His body was just messed up. Everything was shooting some weird signals from his brain. Obviously, I was worried about him, and then I saw pictures after that he got carted out. He was carried out on a stretcher and everything. So I remember I was watching on Instagram, and I made a little story like, man, I hope Aljamain Sterling is okay, because that shot was brutal. But like you said, he is okay. He made light of it on Instagram, which I was happy to see, taking it in stride. I'm sure he made light of it, just trying to be the bigger man, but that one's got to hurt him inside for a long time.
Yeah, it was brutal. And like you said, Marlon was able to read that and make that adjustment right there in the middle of throwing that kick and changing it to a knee. And I agree. That the Alistair thing was so bad, and we, really was just because Ngannou's power, but taking an uppercut and falling backwards on, it's bad. But I agree. I think the Aljo one was worse because, whenever a guy is knocked out, when they don't even, they're so far gone, they don't even break their fall. They don't, whatever. Like, that to me is incredibly scary. So same thing too. Yeah. Glad he's okay. But now I understand why you guys love throwing those knees. Those are the most ridiculous weapon ever. I'd be all knees and elbows if I was in there.
Yeah, exactly. And when Aljamain fell, he did that like imploded. Like, he fell face down on his face. His body just gave out. That's kind of what, to me, triggered this is going to be a bad knockout. But
for sure.
The knees and elbows, they'll do it. For sure.
But I'm interested to see now what Marlon does. Maybe got over his jitters. The guy's built like a little tank.
Yeah, he's built. He looks like, when you see him walking the octagon, you're kind of like, is he a wrestler? Right. Is he a striker? Or is he like a freaking Olympic sprinter? Because the guy is just yoked up. Aljamain Sterling is a very shredded guy. Yeah. I mean, he's got like that, like, overly defined six-pack thing going on, and his arm definition is crazy. But Marlon made him look skinny. He just made Aljamain look skinny. Marlon was so jacked up.
Yep. Well, that was a good fight. One of the ones that I also wanted to mention was the fight between Liz Carmouche and Alexis Davis. That was a rematch. Alexis got the fight again this time. Liz had her moments. They both had their moments. I thought it was a good fight. And I just really, I guess my main point is I really like them both at 125 pounds more. In the past, obviously, we know Alexis challenged Ronda for the title, and it didn't go her way. And, she's had some decent performances at 35. But I feel like 25 is just better for her. There were times when at 35, you weren't sure. Like, she looked like maybe she was just carrying extra weight to be in that weight class. Do you know what I mean? And it seems like she's performing better at that lighter weight. And now that they have that's great. And I thought Liz looked awesome too. But I said something really funny. Like, I didn't, it's all about the phrasing, which I realized after. So I sent this tweet and I was like, oh my God, that was so great. And I want Liz's arms on my body. Right? Because she's like, I'm like, welcome to the gun show, right? No, because she's yoked. And I was like, so I want Liz's arms on my body. Yeah. And then somebody tweeted me and they just put phrasing. And I was like, huh? And then I looked at it again. I was like, oh my God, that's so funny. And then I was like, okay, let me clarify.
That's
Married
awesome.
Woman, I want to have the arm definition that Liz has. And I said, but like any woman, is lucky to have her because she's a super cool chick. It was funny, but I didn't think of it that way because I knew what I was trying to say, but it actually was pretty funny.
Oh, man. You set yourself up on that one, Karyn. You're lucky Liz didn't see that one. She might have been like, hey, like, I'll put my hands on you know what I mean? Like,
I know.
That's funny. But no, Liz Carmouche, she is shredded. She's another one that has that, like, that shoulder delt separation in the bicep. Like, she's shredded, man. She looked good. Both girls look good. Yeah. At that weight class. It was a very competitive fight. I'm not sure about the decision. The decision went in the way of Davis, I believe, but it was kind of a questionable fight. Carmouche did a lot. It was a very close fight. I could have seen it going either way. And when you look in terms of damage, which is kind of how they're scoring it now,
Right.
I mean, she made mine look like a little teardrop because, I mean, she had a very big hematoma thing happening on her head. She took a lot of damage.
For sure. Alexis looks rough. And, the crowd definitely thought, it seemed to think that Liz won because there seemed to be a decent amount of booing. And it was a split decision. But yeah, Liz did way more damage. That is a powerful woman. So I'm just really looking forward to seeing both of them at 25. I think that's that division, between the girls that we got on The Ultimate Fighter and some women that are already here that can come down, I think that's going to be pretty solid. So looking forward to that. But also, speaking of looking forward, Alan, this weekend, 2 former champions at UFC Winnipeg throwing down in the main event, Robbie Lawler and Rafael dos Anjos. So I did an interview with Rafael the other day. He is like so calm and like ready for this, and he really believes he's got everything to beat Robbie because he just believes he's so much more well-rounded, and just can really put the pressure on, put the pace on, whereas Robbie doesn't always necessarily do that to other people. But he told me something interesting. He was actually on standby to fight Tyron if Damian Maia didn't make it to the fight. So the UFC had him all like train. They're ready. They were like, look, if something happens to Damian and he drops out of this fight, you're in. So he actually had already prepared and was ready to fight Tyron. Obviously, we know Damian made it there, so they gave Rafael that Neil Magny fight instead. That went really well for him, and it went really quickly. So it's interesting. So he's basically already done the work preparing for Tyron. And he knows that, he's not overlooking Robbie, but he already is talking about all the stuff that Tyron would have to worry about if they fight because, Tyron's been fighting these specialists, and with our RDA, he'd have to worry about everything. So I thought that was kind of interesting.
No, that's some interesting insight to think that, he had his – once you start thinking about being a champion or fighting a champion, you have to kind of change your mindset to training like a champion and doing everything perfect and being the best in the world. And so for a while now, like you mentioned, he was maybe thinking, I might get this shot. Let me prepare for the best guy in the world right now at welterweight and Tyron Woodley. That fight didn't come, but his preparation must have went well because it showed in his performance against Neil Magny, who he just mopped up. No disrespect, Neil Magny, but he had a tremendous fight against him. Now he's going into to fight Robbie Lawler, who, as we know, Tyron was able to mop up that night as well. It just from hearing that insight kind of leads me to believe that it favors the momentum for him him leading this fight against Robbie Lawler. It's good preparation mentally, and to know he's been training this long, and he obviously didn't get any injuries or setbacks in the Neil Magny fight as well.
Yeah, I mean, and Robbie fought Cowboy. That was a close fight. I actually, as tough as Cowboy is, I figured Robbie's power was going to take Cowboy out, and he didn't. I think one of the critiques people have against Robbie is that he'll often take a round off in a fight. He'll be doing well and he'll take a round off, or he'll kind of coast through a round and then, get fired up for the last, 45 seconds, 30 seconds or something. So obviously I know that can be strategic and you guys want to steal rounds, with that big flurry at the end to leave an image in the judges' minds. But, this is your division. And so I don't know how you feel. I mean, RDA, obviously we know he was already a champ at a lower weight, but this is a guy who is absolutely capable of doing it again. And Robbie might be in that same position of the Cubs and the other guys where maybe the best isn't here anymore. I don't know. I'm the hugest Lawler fan on the planet, but like the way the world is working right now, like I don't know what to expect.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that, I don't know why, something about this, just looking at these two guys, comparing them, and then the story you just said, it kind of gives me to favor RDA in this fight. The one interesting thing about this fight is, unless I'm off, but I believe both men are southpaw.
Yeah, I think so.
Both men are lefties. It's always weird as a fellow lefty going against another lefty. Even though we train against them, you don't fight against that many southpaws in a real fight. I might have only fought one left-handed person through all my fights, Muay Thai, amateur, everything. So there's not that many southpaws until you really get to the top. And that's where a lot of those southpaws hang out. Yeah. But, two southpaw guys, two guys that are strikers. RDA has always been done well, had success at pressuring his opponents, putting them on the cage, manhandling them. He's not able to quite be such the big brother to guys at welterweight because they were so much stronger. Robbie is not an easy guy to take down, but I would give RDA the cardio advantage. Like you said, sometimes Robbie will take a round off. RDA never seems to take a round off. He continues to push until you break, or he just is able to overwhelm you. And so I give him the small advantage in this fight for that.
Yeah, it's tough too, though, because I don't know if in my lifetime I've ever picked against Robbie, and I don't know. I'm really not 100% sure if I am yet. I'm just trying to, visualize this whole thing. I don't know, because again, I always see that when the zombie apocalypse comes, I'm getting behind Robbie Lawler, and I'm like, what are we doing? Because you're in charge. You know what I mean?
I like that.
And that's the thing about both of these guys, though, is like you kind of have to kill them to get them out of there. Because if you remember, even when he lost to Eddie Alvarez, I don't think RDA actually ever went down. You know what I mean? Like he was up against the cage, and the fight was waved off. But like I feel like he actually hasn't been like. I don't know if he's ever been knocked down. I don't want to say this and be wrong, but anyway, he's incredibly hard to get rid of. So you have two of those guys that are incredibly hard to get rid of. So I feel like this fight could go for quite some time. I don't think it's going to be some fast knockout since they can both take a punch.
No, I believe the same. I think it'll be a treat for the fans. This fight. You got two guys that bring it. They're going to be fighting for the probably the number one contender spot or whatever, and it's a 5-round fight. This could be a war. I mean, it's crazy though. We've seen so many like wars, all out wars as of lately. Like every weekend there's been fights every single weekend, and every single weekend there's been, if not the entire card, at least one fight that really delivered. And this one definitely has something that could be one of those special fights. I
think so too. And just a quick mention before we get to the Kenny Johnson stuff, there's also your good friend Mike Perry fighting Santiago Ponzinibbio, which I'm very curious about.
Yeah, I am too. Mike Perry has been doing some phenomenal things.
That elbow against Jake was sick.
His elbow was great. Every single time he has won a fight, Mike Perry, it has been by knockout. Yeah. So if Mike Perry wins, he wins by knockout. That's it. He doesn't go to decision, or he loses. Either way. Ponzinibbio, a high-level striker, another power puncher, another guy that could put your lights out as well. I have to favor Ponzinibbio in this fight because I think he's since me and Mike Perry fought, and I'm not trying to get into the conversation, but since we fought, you saw a kink in Mike Perry's arm. You said, okay, Allen went in there, and I was able to kind of be the higher level fighter, and not get hit and hit him. Since then, he's had some great wins, but he fought Jake Ellenberger, who isn't quite the Jake Ellenberger or his chin that he used to be. So it's kind of like, well, let's see where he's at. Yeah. And then his fight after that, he fought a 55er on 3 days' notice who is much smaller on a short-term notice UFC debut. Yeah. So that didn't prove anything either. So since we fought, and again, this is nothing against Jake Ellenberger, but he's just not quite what he used to be. Right. We don't know. We haven't really seen him tested, proven against another tough guy. This is another tough guy. This is a true welterweight with the skill level, the power level, and size-wise, and the experience-wise. It should be an epic clash. I don't see it going to the bell at all. But I give Ponzinibbio the advantage in this fight. Yeah,
I do too. I think if you can knock out Gunnar Nelson, and I think also Santiago uses like that long, he's got long reach. I feel like he uses that well. So I think I would go with him also in this one, but it should definitely be entertaining.
Should be fun, sure.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so I want to talk about, or we want to hear from your coach, Kenny Johnson, the wrestling coach. So he was talking this time about people who are good training partners and how to be a good training partner, because obviously that is very important. So why don't we take a listen to what he has to say?
Let's check it out.
Hey, what's up? This is Kenny Johnson, Bull Wrestling. We're going to keep it real with Kenny this week, and we're going to talk about training, or lack thereof for most of you motherfuckers, because you don't train at all. When I hear someone tell me they train 24/7, 365, I train 8 hours a day, I know that's a goddamn lie. Because Michael Phelps doesn't even train that much, and that fucker's got 25 more gold medals than you. It's so critical to be on a good training program and to be in sync with your coaches and your teammates, because without that, you have nothing. Second of all, if you don't care about yourself, you got to care about your teammates. If you don't want to show up for training, then you're robbing the people to your right and your left of you of a good training program. Iron sharpens iron, like everyone says, but if you're a fucking pussy, you're not ironing, you're not sharpening nobody. And how can you sharpen anybody if you're not there? So as you're getting ready for your fight camp, for the 8, 12, 19 weeks that you want to be in your fight camp, whatever the fuck you guys say, you guys don't even train to a fraction of your potential because you don't max out anything that you have available to you, whether it's your teammates, your family, your training situation, your coaches. You just say you want to train. You say you want to fight. Again, you have the will to fight, but you lack the will to prepare. So do yourself a favor and fucking quit and go get a fucking job somewhere if anyone will hire you, because you're not doing yourself any favors as a professional if you won't want to come in and train like a professional. So spare all your teammates, spare yourself the agony of defeat, and just fuck off. If you have anything wrong with anything I've said, you're fucking doing it wrong, and you can fuck off like I told you just before. I'm out.
There you go.
Cool.
He says it like it is, folks. But you know what, Karyn? Kenny's always got a little bit of humor in there, but there's a lot of truth in there in what he says. And even though he says some funny stuff and some vulgar stuff, and we don't always condone everything that Kenny Johnson says over here.
Yeah, it's a family show, Kenny.
It's a family show, guys. Get some popcorn. Come on. But there's a lot of truth, and Kenny knows because he's a coach. And look, Kenny's been at Black House for years. He's coached guys since it was Anderson Silva, Lyoto Machida, my group of UFC fighters, the new and up-and-coming guys. So he's been around. He's seen guys, and he knows just as well as I know. There's guys that come to the gym that these guys are hardcore. These guys will show up every single practice. They'll stay later. Mm-hmm. There's guys that come in as soon as they fight. They're in there on a Monday morning helping out their other teammates that need this and that. There's guys that come and they're only there about themselves. There's a mixture of guys, and you kind of begin to spotlight what guys and motives are. What are their intentions at the gym? Everybody's there to get themselves better, obviously, but some guys are more team players. Some guys are good partners. You cannot get hurt. So I think that's what he's alluding to. I hate it when I fight and I get banged up because I know then I have to be one of those guys that doesn't show up to the gym for 4 weeks because I'm letting injuries heal. Yeah. And then I'm letting my teammates down and I'm being one of those guys who's only about myself. So, yeah, when you can have a teammate that every day you guys show up and you're like, look, let's work on the guillotine that Bryant Ortega did. This, let's work on this that we saw, and you're getting better every day. That's the perfect teammate to have. Awesome.
And I know, speaking of teammates, you got to get out of here because you got to go train. But you're very supportive of your teammates. I know a couple of your guys were fighting this past weekend. You got some success, yeah?
Yeah, man. Well, I had like 3 guys on the Fresno card. Obviously, Bryant Ortega, and then we had Albert Morales and Luke Saunders, which he got caught. The guy he fought, I can't think of his name. He's like a Thai guy or Laotian or something, but he's a good guy. Right. But Luke's my buddy, and Luke got caught really bad. But it wasn't a bad call by the referee, but me having my last fight stopped early, now I'm a stickler when it comes to referees. When there's guys trying to climb themselves out of that hole, when they're still trying to defend themselves and the referee doesn't give them a chance, it's like, this is what we signed up for. We signed on a dotted line. We're in our mind, we're fighting until we're unconscious. So when there's guys that are fighting to get the wits back, and the referee takes it from them, it upsets me because, look, in boxing, guys get hurt just like us all the time. They get hurt. They say, you know what, let me just take a knee real quick. I got 8-10 seconds. Regroup. Get my wits back, and then boom, I'm back to it. But for us, the game is, if we get hurt and we're kind of in that la-la land where our equilibrium's thrown off, but we're not like brain dead, we're just dizzy, then a lot of times the guys, they'll do those rabbit punches. They'll look at the referee. Hey, you going to stop this? Hey, you going to stop this? Boom, it stopped. And it's frustrating having my fight stop like that and then seeing guys like Luke. And like, again, it was not a bad call. It was a 50-50 borderline call by the referee. But I know Luke, and I know he could have fought his way out, so it was tough to see that. Other than that, I did have some local guys fight. My buddy Eddie Jackson, my longtime OG training partner, he came up a little bit short, got caught with your rear naked choke. He said, you know what, I'm going to take a nap. I ain't tapping. He went to sleep. He woke up. All good. He's an OG. And then my boy Brian Del Rosario. Remember the name. Not Bilal Muhammad. Remember the name.
I know, Brian Del Rosario.
He's a new guy. He's a Muay Thai guy,
Yep.
but he's coming up in the scene. He just took out a very tough Bellator veteran, the guy that Conor McGregor kind of is like the up and comer Conor McGregor in Bellator.
Oh yeah.
I can't think. You know what I'm talking about a really good kid.
Yep.
This guy had just fought. Brian's opponent had just lost to that guy like on a main event, and he came into the Celtic Fight League here in LA, kind of supposed to be the big man on campus, and my boy Brian handed it to him with the elbows. So congrats to both of my guys. But a great night, a great weekend of fights, and the Lomachenko fight. Oh my God, we forgot about that, Karyn. Lomachenko did his thing.
No mas. No mas.
No, exactly.
No, I'm
He's
good.
the
I'm
best.
just going to
He's the
sit
best.
right here.
I mean,
I'm good.
Yeah. He was talking about my hands broke. I mean, this hand.
mean,
One of them, I didn't even see him land a punch the whole fight,
Right.
but I get it. You know, like Lomachenko does that to people. When every time you peek out of the hole, pop, 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 you get hit, pop, 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 it breaks you down mentally. And they didn't want to see their top tier fighter get embarrassed, become a highlight reel. They said, let's just take him out of it. And it's a smart move. It's a smart move by the corner. It was just funny how it played out with the whole broken hand thing.
Yeah, and it bummed out a lot of fans and stuff. But yeah, to your point about Brian, folks, people should definitely look out for him. He's fighting at featherweight, but Brian's like 6'1" or something, right? Like he's tall.
He's tall. He's tall for sure.
He's tall. But yeah, he's definitely somebody I would love to see, you know, like to see him progress here and make it to the big show sometime. I think people would really like him, not only for his fighting, but just his whole look, his attitude. He's a guy people should definitely look out for. So is he going to be, will he come tonight or not? Because if he just fought over the weekend, maybe he won't come to the gym. Be a good training partner.
Who are you talking about? Brian?
Brian, yeah.
Yeah,
Rosario.
no, see, the thing with Brian is, yeah. I know Albert Morales was in the gym today, but
Nice.
Brian, I got a feeling I ain't gonna see him for a minute. Not in a bad way, but he's one of those guys. He's like a lone wolf.
Yeah.
He does this thing. He trains out of his garage. He trains with his coaches. He goes to the gym like at 9 o'clock at night and does his conditioning.
Right.
He's not a guy that's always in the Black House team practice. He kind of just meets you at different gyms now and then. So I wish I could train more with Brian. I think especially seeing him be the more aggressive wrestler in this fight against Cub Swanson, it would benefit Brian tremendously to come meet Kenny Johnson at Black House, get that wrestling in, become that complete, well-rounded fighter. I think that would be great for him. I don't know if we'll see that, but he's definitely a guy that trains a lot, just not always at the team practices. Oh, one last thing, Karyn. Since we brought up the regional shows and we're talking about all kinds of fights. Oh, Lomachenko.
Yes.
I wanted to give a shout out to, I watched the Bellator fights as well. Bellator kickboxing. Kevin Ross came up short. He's a tremendous fighter, though. My man John Wayne Parr. What is he? What is he, like 60?
Yeah, he's amazing. And he's still killing it. He's awesome.
Yeah, I'm calling. He's 40, 41.
I know, but he joke. He's been in the game for like 30 years.
Forever. He's been doing it before I even stepped foot in the gym.
Right.
I was watching. But he got his victory against like a guy 20 years younger than him, 15 years younger than him. Joe Schilling did his thing as well. Got another victory. He's on got momentum. And also there's this bully thing going around right now. Joe Schilling had some interesting insight. If you want to check out his page, a lot on that going on as well right now.
Yeah, for sure. That's about that boy Keaton who was being bullied. Long story short, his mom might in fact be this like totally whole racist who is using her kid to get money. And if that's the case, that's disgusting. That's just disgusting.
Totally agreed. I think the conclusion that I came to today after doing a little – there's still so much developing that I can't come to a conclusion because you don't know which real or fake. But I think the racist lady on Instagram, I think that was a fake account. So I don't think that's her. But the other account that I think is her real account, it still has a GoFundMe attachment to it. So it's like even if she's not the racist lady, that's some made-up account, the real person is still – kind of on a financial agenda, which should have nothing to do with bullying. It should be all about, look, Dana White reached out. Every fighter reached out. You could have your son come, learn martial arts, or just be around celebrities, be around athletes, be around guys that's going to lift him up from this, build his confidence, make him the cool kid in school, you know. But instead, it seems like there's a financial agenda hidden here, which is a sad thing to see.
Yeah, it is sad because it was very heartwarming, the outpouring. I even retweeted Stipe was like, bro, come hang with me. Like, let's do this. So I love the good heart that so many of our fighters have shown. I just really hope that it isn't the scam that it could potentially be.
I really hope it's not the racist lady. I hope that's fake. Even though it's disgusting, I hope it's just some fake person. But even if the real one is the other one, I forgot the name of the account.
Yeah.
It's got the fake one has like 80,000 people. It's a woman's name.
Yeah.
That's the one that's like racist. That I don't know if I believe it because like you follow the stories and they're like, hey, tell Justin Bieber tagged Snoop Dogg, and I'm like, you're just saying like you don't like black people in so many words,
right?
But yet you're saying tag Snoop Dogg, so it doesn't make sense. It's not adding up,
right?
But then there's another account that's blue check verified with 125,000 followers, which is I think might be the real account,
right? But
then right there's a link. GoFundMe.
Right.
And I'm like, why is this about the money? What is money going to do to help your kids' bullying issues?
Nothing. Well, yeah. I know what is real news, and that is your Instagram and your Facebook and your Twitter accounts. Where can people find the real deal, Alan Jouban?
Guys, this is the real deal right here. There's nothing fake about this. Look at this handsome young devil. Can you get a look at that?
There it is.
Blue
it's
check
slightly
right
blurry,
there.
but there it is. Alan Jouban has got the blue mark next to it. It's all good.
There you go. There's probably not as many followers as I should have, but, I try to keep them down these days. I have to deny a lot of people. That's all it is, guys. But give me a follow.
Very cool. Well, mine on Instagram is KB.H.E.A.T. On Twitter, it's Karyn Bryant. On YouTube, Karyn Bryant. That's where you will find the interviews with Ricardo Lamas and Rafael dos Anjos. I will be going up to Winnipeg. I leave on Thursday. One of my producers is already there. He said it was 12 degrees today, Alan. 12 degrees.
Yo, if you don't know, Karyn Bryant is cold in the sun, okay? Karyn Bryant goes to the beach with a fur coat on, a faux fur. Karyn Bryant is freezing. She's going to go to Winnipeg where it's 12 degrees. I can't wait to watch this show. I can't wait. You're going to have the heaters on in the studio?
Yeah, it's going to be pure comedy, but I'm really looking forward to going up there. I'll be working the desk with Tyron and Bisbing and stuff, so we're going to have a good time. So, I'm leaving on Thursday, and I'm actually, like, legit freaked out now how cold it's going to be. Oh, my God! But anyway, those of you who are in Winnipeg, I will be there, so really looking forward to this. And Alan, heal up fast. I mean, you're like Wolverine, though. You heal up really quickly, so that black eye will probably be gone in about a day and a half.
It'll be gone. I got to start eating my arnica pellets and getting it going right now.
Nice. All right, Alan. Well, next weekend there's a lot to talk about, or after next weekend we'll have a lot to talk about. So I'll see you on the next show. But I want to tell everybody thanks for watching.
Yeah, thanks for tuning in, guys. See you next time.
See ya.